Hi, I'm Paul Michaels, and welcome to another episode of Nerd Supernova. I am your host, Paul Michaels, and my co-host,
KJ McDermott.
Alrighty. So, we're going to talk Guardians 2. Where do we begin? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Spoiler alert!
Yeah,
that's the first thing we should say. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, no. So we're gonna spoil the whole movie pretty much, and just not care about any thing pretty much that's being said. So
if you haven't seen it yet, this is like a week late podcast. So if you haven't seen it yet,
don't listen.
Go see it before you listen.
Okay. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm going to say things off the first thing. I liked it a lot more than the first one, but the reason being, and you said this earlier, it does what most sequels should do, which is where the first movie is meant to introduce everything, the second movie is to dive into the characters and make you understand why you should care more about them than just, I'm the hero, or I'm the girl, or
There's
I'm...
a lot more character development in the second one. A lot more character development, even with like side characters, like you.
Yondu might have the best character development of the whole movie.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I like Michael Rooker. I mean, I liked him in First Guardians. I think I love him now as an actor after this movie is finished, pretty much.
Well, then again, like even aside from like Walking Dead stuff,
I haven't seen a lot of his Walking Dead. I've only seen mostly Mallrats. I know he's in Mississippi Rising. There's a few other stuff too, but I'm saying.
You don't see his bare ass in this movie like you did in like.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Yondu's bare ass. I think that's a bit much.
I don't know. It's a good bare.
There was an opportunity there. He's in that whorehouse, which is really interesting. I'm kind of like the fact that he snuck that in there in a Disney
one
film.
Thing, when you're talking about like the whorehouse.
Okay.
Did it remind you of Rick and Morty?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sex dolls?
Oh yeah,
for
sure.
Dolls? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
The first thing I saw was I was like, oh my god, yellow sex dolls for Morty.
Yeah, but I mean, that's an ongoing. That's probably been in Pulp Fiction type,
It's been in probably everything. It's
yeah,
not new,
but it's very subtle because they don't show any sex, but you can just kind of put two and two together. And in a Marvel Disney movie,
well, that's why I liked it. It didn't show him doing anything,
but you just
know. It showed him putting his belt back on.
Yeah,
he obviously knew like something happened. Like,
yeah.
Hey, you know.
I just want to say, the planet that they're on, like I want to say it's like a pit stop planet, basically, like a small Vegas type deal going on there. I liked that a lot. I really dug that planet. Like that movie, or that part of the movie made me feel like it felt like a more realized world. Like a lot of the other planets, there was one or two things like that in the first movie, but this one had more character, a more adult flavor. Sorry.
It was a Vegas planet.
Yeah, a Vegas planet.
Like they had like the, without saying it, sex robots.
Yeah.
And like they were obviously like doing other stuff, and that's when Sylvester Stallone comes up and he's like, oh, you cater to these type of people, like, or you're lost like everybody else. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
well, but not only that, like, I got a much better idea of who the Ravagers are as people, because Ravagers to me just seem sort of just like a motley crew of people, and then you realize it's a huge battalion of pirates and shit. So, I want to say, and this is huge spoilers, I loved. Like they use it slightly, obviously, in the first movie, but this one they really took advantage of like this 80s aspect, and the fact that we have Stallone in this movie, the fact that we have Kurt Russell, the fact that we have a cameo by David Hasselhoff, all used like very well, and like they put across what they needed to get across with the acting that they did.
I was waiting to talk about this later.
Okay, no. Feel free to talk about it right now. I mean,
thought the 80s nostalgia was too much.
Really? You thought so? Okay, well, go into that.
With Peter Quill talking about all sorts of other stuff, he's like, I'm like a Skeletor monument, and like all this other stuff. And then when like he has like the thing come in, like it's a Pac-Man thing fighting him.
I thought that was fine. I was better used than Pixels.
it was, but then again, Pixels is not good. So therefore,
I understand that, but like
Pixels is not much.
Here's my thing, because
I granted Peter Quill left Earth in the 80s,
yes.
So his childhood memories of Earth was that, but I felt like the 80s nostalgia, him talking about all the other stuff like on Earth, a bit too much. So they could have halved it down, and it still would have had the same purpose.
No, and
he did not have to turn into Pac-Man.
I think it works because what I learned a lot in this film is and again, I think it's all about character. And I know that sounds a bit much, especially for 80s nostalgia, but I think that's a huge factor in who Peter Quill is. Because if you notice, granted, he's much more goofy about it. He's not so much the Han Solo, where he's very stoic in a sense, but he definitely has this thing about him where I think he actually misses Earth, but he doesn't want to admit that he misses Earth. It's kind of a hard thing to explain, because most of his the other half of his childhood was spent in space, and then the rest of his adulthood is in space. But he doesn't want.
They added the whole thing about Knight Rider, where Gamora was trying to talk to him like Knight Rider. I feel like they just threw that in.
No, because he's abducted in '88, so he's lived through most of the '80s. And the 80s is essentially his child. He's 10 or 11 when he's taken, right? I believe in the first movie. Yeah. So all those things that he holds dear, that's a reminder of his home. And that's the same thing with the freaking Walkman. Except the Walkman is a bigger deal because it's directly connected to his mom. You know, you can tell that he cares about his mom. He probably even cares about his family.
Yeah, like you were saying, the Walkman, him crushing the Walkman.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I can see that when he's just you shouldn't have killed my mom and you shouldn't have crushed my Walkman, because both of those are directly related
to his mother. And it's funny too because he's rebelling against his dad, and it's yeah. So, but like I said, I think it's
him becoming Pac-Man, or just being
I see it as him being nostalgic in the way of it's his way of dealing with not going back home, because you could tell that he had the opportunity at some point to go back home, but he couldn't, and he decided not to. It's sort of like how they skirt the issue of his dad in the first movie, and then once you see him actually confront his dad, you realize why he didn't bring it up so much. The whole story about how he used to say that David Hasselhoff was his father, that is heartbreaking. And you understand when he's talking to Gamora, he's like, well, no, that's a terrible story. Why do you like that story? And she's liking it for different reasons. For him, it's a terrible memory, you know?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised, because again, we know that the Guardians are going to meet the Avengers. I would not be shocked if Peter Quill, if they have a small scene where he actually catches up with his family on Earth and stuff like that. I would not be surprised if they do that.
I'm pretty sure they're going to meet up with Thor and Hulk.
No. I'm not talking the Avengers. I'm not saying the Avengers movie necessarily, but in Guardians 3, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to Earth at some point, because I think a lot of people are interested to see what would happen, because we know he has a live family. Okay, yeah, let's talk about his family though, for sure. His other family.
No, I was going to say Thor hitches a ride with them back to Earth.
It could happen.
That would be awesome.
That would be pretty cool. I like that.
Thor and Banner, not Hulk, but Banner, hitch a ride back with them to the Earth. That would be cool.
I could see that totally happening. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I was saying about his other family, his planet dad, and all this other stuff, and even the family that he has in the Guardians. If you want to talk about that.
I'm sure all of them forgot about him already, or he forgot about them. You're saying Peter Quill?
Well, no, I was saying his other family. I was saying about
Earth people.
His grandfather's still there. His grandfather's probably still alive to some degree.
I'm sure they gave up on him. It's 30 years later.
I'm just saying that the one thing they had left over from their daughter is now gone. Maybe they're still around. Other family members are at least. I mean, if a kid disappeared in your family, you'd always at least I wouldn't say
that tiny shred of hope.
I'm just saying you wouldn't forget. You would know about him, or say
and he doesn't know about them. So,
what are you saying he doesn't know about? Or are you saying he doesn't know what they're currently doing?
I'm pretty sure he doesn't care about them.
I don't know.
If he shows back up on Earth, he's not going to look him up in the Yellow Pages. Then again,
it's hard to say.
Pages do not exist
anymore. Yeah, he would actually probably ask for the Yellow Pages, and they'd be like, "What the fuck's a Yellow Page?" or something, But they mentioned it in the film. They said, "Why didn't you go home?" And he's like, "I didn't want to go back to a place where I know my mom died and stuff." So he might care about his family, he doesn't want to go back home, because it's I can relate to that. My mother died from cancer, and I went in my mom's room many times, but after my mom died, I never wanted to go back into her room again, unless I had to get something out of there. But I didn't, want to forget the room or forget the house that I lived in with her, but it was hard to live in that house. You know what I'm saying? Okay, sorry. I was saying let's go on and talk about his other family. The Guardians
2 has a lot of comedy.
It does. I know we're making it sound very depressing, but it does.
Where does it work? Where doesn't it?
I would say it does have too many quips, but unlike, say, Age of Ultron, it works better here because it's the Guardians, and we know in a way that they're kind of just, rambunctious, little, off group.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? It kind of works.
Opening sequence there. Groot dancing. He plugs it in. He starts dancing. Giant battle behind him.
Yeah.
I thought that worked well.
Yeah.
Because it's still Baby Groot. Baby Groot is just like dancing there, and like even like when he interacts with the people, they're like, Groot, like go to cover, like you're gonna get hurt. And like Gamora,
he's a little guy, yeah.
He like waves at Gamora.
Hi,
and
yeah.
She like shoots it, and she's like, yes, hi, okay, go away. Like that worked like for the opening sequence. Like
I thought
Baby Groot, obviously, like they're all in debt to him because he saved them all last movie, so they're all looking out for him.
Yeah.
So honestly, they can't be mean to him because he just saved them all last movie.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I didn't find
some of the comedy with Drax. I feel like they did too much comedy with Drax.
I was only thrown off by Drax because he's much more stoic in the first movie. However, you could make the argument that he's much more comfortable, like he is, because he's been with them for a little while now, and so he's a lot more open. Whereas in the first movie, he's literally getting to learn them. He's a prisoner, So you could make that argument. He's much more open with his emotions, though, which is not, or he might be understanding.
Against him, though,
I know that's
character is like a species.
But I think he has to evolve, though, to some degree. What I liked, that's kind of why I liked Mantis to some degree, because you could say it's a bit forced, but I did generally like the comedy.
I like
where
Mantis because like she's experiencing things for like the first time, so she doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah, or she doesn't understand in the way that her species works with emotion and stuff. But I liked it because I liked how she's very beautiful, but to Drax she's extremely ugly.
Yeah.
And he's always doing these things because he's learning from them too to not be truthful.
When she's like, "You're beautiful too," on the inside.
Yeah, like I like that though.
I laughed about that. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Did you laugh at the my nipples when he's going up? I mean, was that too much?
Nipples. Look at his character though.
I know.
He doesn't have nipples.
I thought about that too. I'm like, does he have nipples? I
like,
don't know.
With the makeup and everything like on him, obviously he's
maybe,
an actor.
maybe,
like all the makeup and everything. Drax doesn't have nipples.
I don't know, man.
With the makeup.
I don't know. Maybe they're.
Oh, my nipples! It's like, you don't have nipples!
Maybe they're under the tattoos or something. I don't know. Alright, well, I thought for the most part everyone was pretty. Like everyone evolved a little bit as characters. Even Gamora evolves a bit. Yeah, everyone did. And I like that, though. Sometimes it felt maybe... I was thinking it was going to get to be too much.
The only character that really didn't evolve was Baby Groot.
Yeah, but that's sort of a joke in of itself.
Okay.
But like, I thought it was going to be too much. Like, even Nebula I thought was going to be too much, but then it kind of made sense to me by the end of her joining their crew. Like, I liked how they made it about...
towards the end, though, like, Nebula still...
being like a spy, you think, or something like that? Or...
That's the thing.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is she still evil? Does she still want to kill him?
I think.
Does she still want to kill Thanos?
I think honestly, it'd be better if they don't do the double cross because I legitimately found
like her and Gamora, their whole fight in like the cavern. Like...
Yeah, but I legitimately bought that. I legitimately bought the whole that she just didn't want to fight Gamora. She wanted a sister, but because of how Thanos is and how he fucks with people, it messes with her head. So. I bought that, so I feel it's stepping backward if they do the double cross. Okay. I mean, I could see it happening, but I wouldn't want it because I don't see James Gunn doing it because I honestly believe he cares about the characters and them evolving as characters. Like
I mean, like how could Amy Pond do that?
No. But no, it's honestly though true, man. Like I mean, very much so. Star-Lord is a man-child. But that whole conversation he has with Ego about his mom, like it just hits home.
You mentioned Ego.
Yeah, can we talk about Kurt Russell?
Let's move on to Ego.
Let's talk about Kurt Russell in this movie.
Let's move on to Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell is awesome, and he's really good in this movie.
I'm sorry, like Escape from
New York,
Escape from like New York, like all right.
Big Trouble in Little China. We're not going to mention Big Trouble in Little China.
Like the thing, Kurt Russell is awesome. I'm sorry, every movie he's in is awesome. Kurt Russell is awesome. This one, I feel like they underutilized him. I can see that.
I can understand that. I can agree with that. But it's also, I want to say Ego is a big concept. I'm saying the fact that
I feel like it was too much at this point in time for Marvel Comics to introduce a living planet. Granted, Guardians of the Galaxy, they introduced a lot of weird things.
Yeah.
But this early on, I felt like it was too early for Ego.
Okay, I can see that.
My thing.
I would have been fine if they had done the whole, because in the comics, his dad's like Jason of Spartux. He's a king of another, realm and stuff like that. He's a douchey dictator.
Anytime they ever introduced Galactus, it's been a big fucking fail and a half.
Yeah, but I liked what they did with Ego.
But then again, that was not Marvel.
Well, my question is they answer all the questions that I had pretty much about Ego, because it's like, oh, Ego's his dad, and I'm like, how did planet fuck a Earth woman? And they explained it.
He had a human form in the comic.
Yeah, and he's able to manipulate and give birth to other species and whatnot. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. I kind of didn't understand why Ego had to also kill the mom. My only theory is that he was trying to. He's very impatient.
I saw that from like a mile away.
That he gave the mom the tumor.
Yeah, I saw that from like a mile away when he started like talking about it. And it was like, oh, I couldn't go back there. I couldn't go back there. I was just like, oh, he killed her.
Yeah, or
and finally he was like, oh, well, like I put the brain tumor like in her head because I couldn't go back there. I was like, duh. Like you kept talking about like you couldn't go back there. Like
no,
of course
him being the bad guy. That whole twist that wasn't like unpredictable to me. I saw that happening a mile away.
Yeah,
I understand like why he had to kill the mom. Was it like you think it was because of like he didn't want the son to be attached to anything after a while? He had no reason to stay. Is that the whole point? Because he wants the kid to come.
He kept saying like, oh, I love her. If I visited her like a fourth time, I would never leave.
Yeah,
so I had to kill her. It's like. Alright, asshole. Like,
yeah.
You're just giving your son a reason to kill you? Oh, you're just giving your
he's
son
just an what's the word? Omnipotent being that doesn't understand human emotion, basically. Like, doesn't get how that works. No, I mean, still, it's an asshole move, and I definitely agreed with Quill, not even thinking a double second.
It just gives your
shooting
son a whole reason to kill you.
Yeah.
It's like reverse Oedipus complex. Like,
yeah, man.
I don't want to like kill you.
He's a god. He probably assumed that Peter thought the god powers would overdo his love for his mom because he doesn't think like a human being. I mean, it's still a shitty thing. It's still a shitty way to like put that in there. I think they could have worked that one better.
Kurt Russell.
Oh no,
I still thought he did like an amazing.
He did great.
Job.
I thought Ego was a great character.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Like.
He's Kurt Russell, man.
Yeah, he's Kurt Russell.
Can we talk though about just because we're talking about 80s? Can we talk about Sly Stallone in this movie though? Because it's very short, but I believed him as a leader of pirates, I guess you could say, with Ravagers
I think it's going to be a spin-off.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. I think that'd be great.
I think it's totally going to be a spin-off because after Guardians go and do
Thanos
Infinity
stuff.
Wars,
yeah.
They can already have their shit made, do a spin-off of the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, so we were talking about this earlier. I should bring this up in this podcast, but the rumor or what is more or less confirmed, because you and I talk about this all the time, like what are they going to do after they do Thanos? And it's assumed that at least with the main big teams, they might move more into the cosmic level of Marvel, which is kind of unknown to most fans, I would say.
They've already opened the door now twice, and everybody's game for it.
Yeah,
no. Why not?
My thing is like, obviously concentrate on your ground and Earth characters like the Defenders and Spider-Man and stuff like that, but don't go too crazy.
Earth is great. Let's have the Earth people there.
Yeah.
But they've got so many characters.
I know, it's just
out in like the universe,
and it's just it sucks that they can't use Doom or Galactus, which would be the next thing to do, but. Yeah.
They had the original Guardians of the Galaxy
in there.
That came back over, spoiler alert, Yondu's death.
Yeah.
Yondu dies.
Actually, let's talk about, because we were talking about Michael Rooker later, let's talk about Yondu in the film.
Mary Poppins? Oh, yeah. Mary Poppins. Well,
there's a scene where he's coming down, and he looks like he's floating with an umbrella, and Peter Quill calls him Mary Poppins, and he's like, who's Mary Poppins? Is he cool? And he's like, yeah, Mary Poppins is cool.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Yeah, and it's hilarious. But no, I was kind of surprised because
I did not think that Yondu was going to die.
Well, I thought... So, there's a few things about this. So, one, I never really got the whole vibe of him being kind of like a dad to Peter Quill. More of like, a reluctant guard.
You got it more in this movie than the last one.
I assumed that there was...
built it up more.
I assumed there was some favoritism he probably had with Quill because he kidnapped him, and so they had kind of like maybe a bond that way, but I never picked up on the whole dad vibe.
Yeah.
And then when Quill finally figures it out, we're finding it out with Quill, and that makes it a lot more heartbreaking. I love that they gave him back to Finn. Thought that was great.
Right.
I loved how they were very...
Seriously, though, like, if I had, like, a cool weapon, me whistling...
No.
I would love like the whistle.
It's amazing. The whole
I'm sorry.
The whole mutiny and then him getting everything back in that one scene with fucking Taserface, which is hilarious. God. Yeah. Here's the thing though, man.
When he's looking at the monitors, just like murdering
everybody. Can I be honest with you though too? Because with the first Guardians, I never felt anyone was in real parody or jeopardy. But in the second one here, granted, I love the Arrow scene in the first movie because then I really got like, why is this doofus the leader of this group? And then you realize, that's why he's the leader. Okay,
he's killed like 30 people like on the ground.
What's up? Yeah, he's a survivor. Yeah. He's definitely a survivor. But more to the point, like I still never felt anyone was in real jeopardy in the movie. People do die in the first Guardians that aren't the main cast, but when there's a mutiny and Taserface has all of the other loyal Yondu guys thrown out into space, I was like, wow. I was like, I actually feel somewhat at stake here.
And one of my favorite actors, well, not favorite actors, I can't say favorite actors. One of my...
He's a guy from...
Me and my sister have this one actor who's in like a bunch of stuff as like a side character, and we always call him Scar Cheeks because he has like the scars in his cheeks. And he was the guy who like spoke up in this movie.
That was Norman Reedus, dude.
What?
That's Norman Reedus.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
I think it is.
No. I will.
Are you sure it's the guy from Gladiator and stuff like that?
All
right. Do you have your phone? Look it up on your phone.
I'll look at my phone right now.
Because I could see it being that guy, but I think it's Norman Reedus. I think it's Norman Reedus because they were trying to make a callback to Walking Dead, possibly. Just look on
a bunch of movies.
You could be right. You could very well be right because he looks different under makeup. But look up. Just let me see if it's Norman Reedus or not.
Talk about something else. So I'll look it up.
Well, anyway, I thought his death was intense. When they were throwing out all these guys and everything, and I actually felt that there being real stakes for once. Because I feel like the Marvel Universe has kind of lost that, with maybe the exception being the TV universe, where people die all the time in that universe, and they don't come back 2 movies later. So I like that. I like that aspect. I liked the idea of the Ravagers not just being Yondu and his guys, like it's a whole giant unit of guys, and the fact that they betray each other at a moment's notice.
And then when Stallone says like, "Oh, you lost like the 99 people, like catering to like
the other 99 crews."
Faction.
Yeah. So
it's not just like the one crew. It's like they're a group of people,
and they're all over the universe probably to some extent, or at least in the universe known in the Marveldom. I loved. Like I said, that's one of my favorite scenes. Oh, you know what we haven't really talked about though.
What have we not talked about?
Well, actually, find out the guy.
I'm looking it up.
You still find it? All right. The Sovereign.
Pretty sure I just found him.
The
Tommy Flanagan.
It was a Tommy Flanagan in the movie. It wasn't Norman Reedus. Ah, okay. It was Tommy Flanagan. You're right,
and
sir.
He has like this because for the longest
it looked like Norman Reedus, man. I'm sorry.
For the longest time, me and my sister, we've known him as like Scar Cheeks.
Yeah.
Sorry to Tommy Flanagan if you're never gonna hear this because whatever.
Yeah.
But we've known him from like so many other movies. He was in Sin City.
He's in Sin City. He's in Gladiator.
He is the guy being like, I like grenades.
Is he in Sons of Anarchy?
He's probably.
He's in a lot of Tough and Rumble type things.
He actually has legitimate.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And
he's a big character actor for sure.
Guy that, like, they actually focus on him being sent out of like the airlock.
Yeah.
He's the one that, like, you see him being like,
no, but it was
he gets like sent out, and then like you see the other dead guys.
It's a brilliant way to show that the loyalists to Yondu were the ones that were being killed. So people aren't confused.
And I was just like, oh my god, that's Scar Cheeks.
Yeah.
Like, that's because Me and my sister.
So let's talk about the Sovereign though, which is an interesting aspect to
yes.
the yellow people, so to speak.
Okay, so
and that's not a racial slur. They literally are yellow.
Things I didn't like is
okay, go on for it.
Things I didn't like is arcade. I didn't like the arcade noises that they had. It
didn't bother me. I mean, it's more interesting that they're reliant.
Like Galaga.
I think that's on purpose. I think it was on purpose, though. I think it was on purpose. I don't know why they did Galaga, but I think it was on purpose.
You could have used different noise and other noises that I just thought was Galaga.
I don't know the thing. I want to say this because this goes back to
skipping to Adam Warlock.
All right, well. I think everyone. That's not a big surprise, but he doesn't actually show up in the movie. But his.
If you stayed through all the credits and watched all of the end credit scenes,
is he the last one?
No.
Or is the fourth?
He's the last one.
That's right. Yeah. Basically, Adam Warlock is heavily teased. Yeah, he's coming, but he won't be in Infinity War. He'll be in Guardians 3.
They said that he's not going to be.
Which is kind of interesting because of Infinity Gauntlet, honestly. But that's a whole nother.
Sorry, they're taking the Infinity Wars and the Infinity Gauntlet and taking all of the crucial players out of it.
You mean like that time that they made Ultron and it was made by Tony Stark?
Shut up. but Ultron, they just took Hank Pym out of the equation.
Yeah.
This one, they're taking a lot of the crucial players of the Infinity Wars.
I don't know. I have to reread Infinity Gauntlet. But it is kind of weird that they're doing that. But okay, so let's talk about. So you.
Okay, sorry.
No. So this is. I think the reason why I like this movie so much, and I was going to say this to you, is people make the joke that every Marvel movie is a comedy basically. Because
I still had fun.
No. So hear me out. So my thing is that I don't think that's true. I think they have enough seriousness in them to a certain extent. Some more than others. But when I look at the Guardians films. I purely look at them as comedies first, and I think that's why this movie. Well, that's why this movie surprised me so much.
I was saying that to coworkers today. I was like, the movie's great, but you can't go into it thinking it's going to be a serious movie.
But that's what I liked about it, though, in the sense of that it was actually a lot more serious than I even expected it to be, especially with Peter and his dad and his mom, and how everything felt a lot deeper and darker, which I wanted. And I'm not saying it's trying to be a DC film or something like that. And again, I still defend the DC films having at least a little heart and humor in them. But the point being is that it got darker, but still kept its heart, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's the best thing you can do in a sequel like that, especially for a Marvel film. It did a good balance. But what I actually felt was stakes, which I haven't felt in a while with the Marvel movies. And I felt, when they're on the planet, and I know they're going to be okay, but I know when Rocket's closing the doors, I actually feel he's looking.
You felt like something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, and you felt for the moment that they're on a planet that's basically going up. You can kind of understand the stakes that are added. It's not just they're closing the doors because they have to, or it's written in the screenplay. There's an actual build up to it.
That part when Drax is yelling down Rocket, where's Quill?
Yeah.
Where's Quill?
Yeah.
And you can hear it going over the speaker, and Rocket is closing the doors. You actually sit there and just be oh shit, Peter Quill's gonna live.
Yeah.
You know he's going to, but at the same time, you hear Drax be "Where's Quill?" Yelling over the speaker, and you're sitting there listening to it, and you're just you can feel the character worrying about it.
Yeah,
and that's the difference between knowing the character's gonna live. You know he's gonna live.
Or watching.
At the same time, you're watching the character worrying about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that in a lot of other movies where they're talking about the thing and where are they? But I mean, I think it worked. I think it worked for the film in the way that it was done. But I'm saying is that what James Gunn did is because of the character development, we care about the moments. Even if they're somewhat cliched, we kind of actually give two shits if the raccoon and the weird purpley man or the green girl get off the planet. We don't...
Weird purpley man?
I'm
pretty sure he's
is he purple grayish?
Red?
I don't know. But you know what I'm saying is that we actually give two shits if they get off the planet or not.
Yeah.
The Kurt Russell thing is a big aspect too because
let me ask you, totally weird side topic. The soundtrack.
I think the soundtrack was good. What I found confusing...
I feel like the soundtrack works because they make a joke at the beginning about Peter, about being about, like, he's the one who, like, listens to music, like, while we do this shit.
Yeah.
Like...
No.
So it works because, like, every time they kind of, like, do stuff...
They make it a point. They make it a point. What I thought was interesting was, do they make copies of the tape that they have? Is that why? Because I think there was music being... I don't know if they were playing it over the movie or if it was being played in the movie, because I feel...
But it's still... There's
no.
being played, but a lot of the times it's still... It doesn't take you out of it.
No, I thought
That's the thing
I thought it was a complimentary soundtrack.
The thing I hated about, like, Suicide Squad is, like, every time they introduced a new character, it was like, you don't own me, like, I'm not one of your stupid toys. It was like, great, Harley Quinn is, like, on screen now, okay, cool. Like, they made it, like, organic and...
Yeah, no, it was a much more organic soundtrack. No, I mean...
We got the soundtrack.
I don't...
Like,
no, I don't mind Suicide Squad, but I know that the film, the soundtrack is very... No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you that the soundtrack doesn't jive as well in the movie or in Suicide Squad. But
actually, like, Peter Quill was sitting there playing his tape deck and listening to Brandy.
Yeah.
When Ego comes in, like, oh, Brandy. When he starts talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually, like, the music that's playing.
Well, the music...
in the movie.
The soundtrack is like the other character, basically. That's how they play it in the film. Suicide Squad, I mean, I can go into that for like 5 hours, but the point being is that film was such
We don't have 5 hours.
No, I know, but it's a mess to begin with. The way that the film was made. So like, that soundtrack's just the...
like, the soundtrack, so it's like, even off the bat, they were like, I'm setting up this thing, like, because, like, he wants to listen to music. No, Rocket, like, pretty sure, like, the Beast is, like, better thing. I side with Drax right now. Like, we should not be doing this.
Yeah.
But, like, they still make it, like, they make it a conscious thing. The soundtrack is part of the movie.
Yeah, no,
as opposed to just, like, a random thing. Like, so therefore, they acknowledge that the music being played is part of the movie.
Okay.
That's
no,
kind of unique.
I'm agreeing with you. I just think, what was I going to say? It felt...
forced?
No, I wouldn't say forced. Because obviously, you know, that's part of what the Guardians is. I was only just confused with, like, certain things of, like... I can't remember what I was going to say now. It was more just like... because I felt like everyone was playing the music, but again, I can't tell. I can't tell if it was an artistic choice, if they were playing it over the movie, or if it was in the film. But
when
other than
you're in a
that,
car, you have a soundtrack. You play your music in a car.
Yeah.
If you're in a spaceship, you're gonna be playing a soundtrack.
No, I know. But I'm saying this was like Yondu and the guy who's James Gunn's brother, who's in the movie as well. But look, I mean, that's just like a nitpick. But I felt the soundtrack was part of the movie.
I know a nitpick, which I like the movie. I like the movie enough. Slow-mo. They did a shit ton of slow-mo in this movie. They didn't do in, like, the other ones.
I don't notice. I mean, I watch Zack Snyder films a lot, so I don't notice the slow-mo maybe as much. But I just...
Zack Snyder's films are, like, half slow-mos. Are you shitting me?
I think it worked because they used it at certain times. Like, they had... They had the guys going up when the rocket traps. Yeah. They had like the guys falling when that was. I think cinematically it was done fine.
It brings me to a nice point. What did you think did not work in the movie?
There was one or two moments where I felt the soundtrack felt too invasive, but I'm just saying I'm saying as artistic choices. I still felt the soundtrack was part of the movie though. Like it does work organically.
There were some parts that brought me out.
For a little force. But these are nitpicks.
Yeah, the movie itself I thoroughly enjoyed, but these are nitpicks.
I guess I could have known more about the Sovereign. I guess of like again, but I think they did a good job introducing them and making them a legit threat. Yeah.
I feel like they're just introducing them.
Yeah.
To bring them up for like Guardians 3.
Yeah.
Which they've already said like Adam Warlock is not going to enter until Guardians 3. So I feel like they're only introducing the Sovereign to then bring them in for like another villain.
But I'm not meaning to say that they do too much in the movie, because there's some sequels where they try to just do too much. They try to build too much up while they're doing other storylines, and it just kind of feels overly done, you know. But this didn't feel like that. This felt like a legit, like most everything felt organically in there, or it came back to it later. Like they used the batteries from the beginning of the movie all the way to the very end as the bomb.
Bomb at the end.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel like.
What do you mean? What batteries?
What?
He didn't steal batteries. What are you talking about?
Oh my god! But no, like everything had its purpose. Even little baby Groot being the person who plants the bomb kind of works in that way too.
It works because he's the small enough one to
go. Yeah. And again, that's even a reference to like the joke
that's
that
too is like the timeline is only supposed to be.
That's right. It's only
3 to 4 months.
It's supposed to take
after the first one.
It's supposed to take place in 2014, not currently. When we see them again in Infinity War, it'll be 4 years later.
That's why the after credits scene you already see adolescent Groot.
Yeah, because
the joke is made.
Yeah, because he's been growing up and stuff.
Because he's grown up, like between this movie and current Marvel timeline, it's supposed to be like 4 years later.
Yeah, so we're gonna see the Guardians 4 years later.
Guardians 1 and Guardians 2 is like 3 to 4 months.
Do you think Guardians 3 will take place before Infinity War or after?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't work for Marvel.
I'm giving your. I'm just asking.
I can't.
All right.
That.
All right. Anyway. Okay. So overall,
other things I didn't think worked.
Okay.
I hated Pac-Man. I'm sorry.
When he becomes Pac-Man when he's fighting his dad.
I saw Pac-Man, and I'm sorry. Like when I saw Pac-Man, I hated it.
It did. Really...
I wanted to see Star-Lord as like a rock Star-Lord.
Okay.
He made the joke about building the 80s like stuff like.
Well, you could build anything.
It's gonna get weird. And then like I wanted to see him fighting him, not fucking Pac-Man. Like that just like all right.
I don't know. I think
this scene like by Adam Sandler? Like really, like it took me out of it. Like
I think it was a joke. Yes,
it was a joke.
But hey,
it failed to me.
I look at it this way: it didn't end with him and his dad fighting in a dance sequence.
No.
See, you want to talk about a sequence that took me out of the movie? That's my biggest nitpick with the first Guardians. I'm just saying, hypothetically.
No.
Hypothetically.
Tip tat. Like, gotcha. But like,
I think it's
when he was finally like feeling like. Even if he like went against him as like Skeletor, and he was like Skeletor like fighting him.
I think it would have been
better than like
the way
just like,
yeah, it's another
really?
joke. But again,
Waka like
again,
fuck you.
Ever since the dance sequence fight at the end of the first movie, I have to take these movies as full comedies to some extent because.
Well, you're not supposed to take them seriously.
No. I know.
Granted.
But honestly, at least he fought his dad. I see the Pac-Man thing being again the reference to being to Earth.
Being him, like when he was like, "Oh, I have this ability." Like you can imagine, like Farrah Fawcett and like Skeletor.
Dude, if you had to face your planet dad, it wouldn't shock me if you turned into Raph from Ninja Turtles. You know what I'm saying?
I probably would turn into Raph because you know what? Raph gets shit done.
Okay.
Pac-Man, no. Like
Pac-Man needs everything.
Either that or I'd be fucking like Thrall with like fucking Warhammer.
All right. But the point being is that I think it's him fully rejecting his dad, going back to Earth, and maybe that's what's supposed to represent. I don't know. At least he actually fought his dad. That's what I took away from it, and I like that aspect.
When I saw it, it immediately took me out.
Okay. I mean,
I get it. I get it. Like the '80s nostalgia. They were going through it like wicked hard in this movie, which is something that they didn't do in the last movie. He wasn't wicked like '80s hardcore nostalgia in the last movie. They were going for.
I would say I was like on and off because he referred to everything from the '80s,
he had a
like
troll
Ninja.
Doll.
He had a troll doll. He referred to someone. He referred to someone as like a Ninja Turtle. He did a lot of '80s references.
And he did like Jack Pollock, which he wouldn't have even known. But
Jack Pollock was in the '80s. I believe
he was a young child, would not have known that artist.
I mean, Jack Pollock's one of the first artists you learn about in school. I did as a kid.
You did?
Yeah, when I was like in 4th grade.
Shit.
All right. Well, look. It doesn't matter.
But even still, I'm just like they tried to up the '80s with Star-Lord in this one.
Okay.
That's one thing that I was just kind of like, alright, he was only there for a little while. Like, why you like they tried to up the references.
I think they did that on purpose. Because I mean, this is my theory. This you can ask James Gunn later.
It's
I guess.
It's just one thing that it made me question. It didn't really take me out of it.
I think the
'80s
made me,
like sit there and question it. Just
the
like,
'80s aspect.
Really?
The '80s aspect, or him in the '80s aspect, is about him and where he comes from. It's about who he is, about what made him who he is. Apart from Yondu, I see the nostalgia there being. Him. It's most of his character to some degree about like what he is. The whole soundtrack is from the 70s and 80s. It's like that's the idea.
But then again, the soundtrack is from his mother.
I understand that, but like again, the 80s, the mother, the Earth. Like again, I think they could have chosen someone better than Pac-Man, but I see the Pac-Man representing. This is for mom. This is me. That's how I see it. Okay. It could have been a more heroic figure, but it's Guardians. They do everything as a joke.
Let me ask you.
Okay.
It was a giant Galaga alien attacking him. Exactly.
It would have thrown me off as much. I don't know, but it is what it is. I think it was even a joke because his dad was becoming a ghost of his former self because he was getting very white. That's how I saw it. But
all right, I didn't read into it that much.
But again, I don't know. I haven't watched the movie a second time. You haven't watched it a second time. Maybe we'll pick up more the second time.
Twice now.
You've seen it twice already?
I've seen it twice.
Oh, okay.
I'm planning on seeing a third or fourth time this week.
All right, cool.
I did not see it in 3D yet, and I plan on going to see their 3D.
All right, sweet dude.
I hate seeing 3D movies unless I've seen it 2D yet.
I've seen it in 3D, and I saw it on IMAX 3D. It was pretty sweet, but
I want to see 3D because I feel like it would be better 3D.
Overall, you would recommend the movie, though, obviously?
Overall, I love it.
Okay, would you consider it...
Even my, nitpicks, anything I say, negative about it, I still think it's a great movie. I still think it's awesome. Would you consider it just as good or even better than the first one? Or would you consider it, okay? I consider it just as good. Okay. The first one was better because I feel like the first one had a bit more plot and storyline. That's fair. This one has more character development. Okay, it's a more contained story. So this one, each of the characters grows more. Yeah. Peter, Gamora, Drax doesn't grow. I feel like Drax is more supporting character in the first one. Yeah. Drax grows a lot more in the first one. But Rocket grows more in this one. Groot is Groot. Yeah. So he's a talking tree. Yeah. Well, the thing I like, though, I guess, what made me like it more is that every Marvel movie. The thing I liked about Groot, though, in this one, though, is that Groot stays the same. So therefore, in the very opening, when he's dancing and everything, he's dancing around and he's being like Baby Groot. Yeah. And then at the very end, when Star-Lord gets Zune, or whatever that I don't even know. No, I never owned one. It was a Zune. And he's listening to music, and he puts the thing up to him. Yeah. Groot is still happy listening to the music. That still goes right back to dancing Groot from the first one. Yeah. When he hears the music, he's great. Even before this other movie, that's still Groot. Groot is no. You give me something fun to listen to, I'm gonna be fun. You give me something to do, I'm going to go and rip the battery out of the wall. I don't care. No, I agree. I was just saying my thing that I liked about it more was that almost every Marvel movie, for, 9 out of 10 of them have all... Terrible villains? No, not just, I wouldn't say terrible villains so much, but every movie ends with a giant battle. Or a giant, them facing something else. And even Guardians 1 ended like that. And yes... They are facing this planet in a sense, but they're getting off the planet. It's a different type of ending, which I didn't mind. Escaping, instead of them fighting something. Yeah, and they are fighting. He is fighting his dad, but it's a character-driven fight. It's not about we have to. You could be a god. Yeah, if you kill me, you'll be like everyone else. What's wrong with that? Yeah, he is saving the universe, yes, but it's a much more personal battle. It's not so much. Yeah, it's him becoming a mortal, or becoming a man, really, because you're really defined, I think, a lot in
fiction and stories and even real life by like your dad as a young boy. You know, your dad.
That's all the way back to Shakespeare.
Yeah, you're defined by like what your dad makes you in a sense. And Star-Lord was always without a dad. I loved when he transforms into David Hasselhoff. You know, almost mocking him too.
I thought of like a form to fit you.
Yeah, it's incredible in that way, and I like the messages behind it. I do feel Ego could have been more. Only because I love Kurt Russell too, because I feel they could have done
Honestly,
more with him.
When I saw it in the theaters and when they were coming down to it and it showed his face on the planet for a second, I was like, "Yay!" And like nobody else was there. I was like, "Okay, cool, just me then." Like I know he's actually like a planet. Like,
so I want to say this, just two things. One, someone told me that Yondu is supposed to be in Infinity War.
My thoughts of it, flashback.
You think flashback? Okay, it's possible.
I'm sorry, like there's spoilers all about in this.
I'm just skeptical
we
too.
We warned people of spoilers before.
No. Okay, shut up.
Yondu's dead.
Okay, but no, it's just because of their one, the Infinity Gauntlet. There's that factor. Tom's back. My roommate. So the fact of the Infinity Gauntlet.
I'm pretty sure Yondu's dead.
I'm saying
pretty sure it'll be a Peter Quill flashback to something else that maybe Yondu taught him. So Peter Quill knows how to do something because Yondu taught him. We saw that in like when Peter Quill was like thinking back, and it showed him holding a gun for like the first time, like shooting.
Yeah.
Like young Peter Quill.
Okay.
It might be another flashback where there's Yondu again, like teaching him how to do something that might be critical to Infinity War.
Okay.
Teaching him how to do something.
Or use the arrow, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, like.
Well, he gives the arrow to like the second mate there, right? Okay.
Which seriously, like, I'm sorry, those of you who don't know me, but like those of you who do, I'm pretty sure everybody who listens to this does know me. Like, I can whistle. If I had that like arrow, I would rule the world.
Yeah, somebody would die, probably yourself.
Me? Like.
All right. Do you have any closing thoughts on Guardians?
I enjoyed it, and if you haven't seen it, if you hadn't seen it and you've listened to this now, you should see it because we just spoiled everything. But it's still a good movie.
Yeah, I highly enjoyed it.
Why am I talking to the computer?
I don't know. It's one of my personal favorite Marvel films at this point. Like I really enjoyed it. I was surprised by it in many ways.
Oh, I only feel like it really works if you saw the first one.
Oh yeah, for sure. But honestly, so do a lot of Marvel movies now.
Yeah. But then again, the other thing.
Oh, the other thing.
I'm sorry. Rick and Morty, like sex robots.
We talked about that already.
Did we already?
We talked. Sex robots was the first thing we talked about.
Did we?
Okay. Yes. Okay. But that was a funny part. All right.
It's the first thing I thought.
You recommend it. I recommend checking it out. It's a good Marvel film. It's a good movie in general. Definitely check it out.
It is.
Yeah. Go see it.
Go see it.
All right.
It's great.
All right, we're done. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.